The history of Saudi Arabia, from ancient tribes to modern kingdom. Saudi Arabia, the birthplace of Islam and home to two of the religion's holiest cities, Mecca and Medina, has a unique and complex history. Located on the Arabian Peninsula, this nation's story is deeply intertwined with the spread of Islam, regional tribal alliances, and the rise of the modern Saudi state in the early 20th century. From the ancient trade routes and empires that once crisscrossed the peninsula to its emergence as a global economic powerhouse due to oil, Saudi Arabia has a history shaped by both tradition and transformation. Early civilizations and tribal society. The Arabian Peninsula has been inhabited by various tribes and cultures for thousands of years. The earliest evidence of human habitation dates back to the Paleolithic period. Ancient civilizations like the Dilmun civilization centered in modern Bahrain and the Nabatean civilization known for the city of Petra flourished along the Arabian trade routes, connecting the Mediterranean to South Asia and Africa. The harsh desert landscape of the Arabian Peninsula led to the formation of tribal societies, which were primarily nomadic, living in clans and tribes that traveled in search of water and grazing land. These tribes developed strong cultural traditions, oral poetry, and a fierce loyalty to kin. Tribal alliances and rivalries played a significant role in the peninsula's political landscape, as control of trade routes and oases could determine a tribe's power and wealth. The birth of Islam and the Islamic Caliphates. The 7th century marked a turning point in the history of Arabia with the birth of Islam. In 610 CE, the Prophet Muhammad began receiving revelations in Mecca, a significant religious and trade center. His teachings soon gathered a following, and Islam spread rapidly across the Arabian Peninsula. In 620 CE, Muhammad and his followers migrated from Mecca to Medina in an event known as the Hijra, which marks the beginning of the Islamic calendar. By the time of Muhammad's death in 630 CE, Islam had unified much of the Arabian Peninsula. Following his death, the Rashidun Caliphate emerged, continuing the expansion of Islam across the Middle East, North Africa, and beyond. The cities of Mecca and Medina became central religious sites, and the annual Hajj pilgrimage to Mecca became a pillar of Islamic practice, drawing Muslims from around the world. Subsequent caliphates, including the Umayyads and Abbasids, ruled over the Arabian Peninsula, with varying degrees of influence. However, the peninsula itself largely remained a collection of tribal territories. Local rulers, or emirs, governed most of the region, while the powerful tribes maintained control over the interior. The rise of the House of Saud. The history of modern Saudi Arabia began in the 18th century with an alliance between Muhammad ibn Saud, a local ruler in the central Arabian region of Najd, and the religious reformer Muhammad ibn Abd al-Wahhab. Together, they sought to establish a state based on a strict interpretation of Islam, known as Wahhabism. This alliance, formed in 1744, led to the establishment of the first Saudi state, which expanded throughout the peninsula but was eventually defeated by the Ottoman Empire in 1818. The second Saudi state emerged in 1824 under the leadership of Turki bin Abdullah, a descendant of Muhammad ibn Saud. This state also sought to expand across the Arabian Peninsula but faced challenges from regional rivals and internal conflicts. The Second Saudi state collapsed in 1891 after being defeated by the Al-Rashid clan. Formation of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The turning point came in the early 20th century with Abdulaziz ibn Abdulrahman al-Saud, also known as Ibn Saud. In 1902, Ibn Saud led a daring raid to recapture Riyadh, the ancestral home of the House of Saud, from the Al-Rashid. From this base, he gradually unified the surrounding tribes and territories, utilizing both diplomacy and military campaigns. By 1932, Ibn Saud had successfully united most of the Arabian Peninsula, establishing the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. This unification marked the beginning of a new era for the region. Saudi Arabia was officially declared a kingdom on September 23, 1932, with Ibn Saud as its first king, solidifying the House of Saud's control over the territory and establishing the foundation for modern Saudi Arabia. The discovery of oil and economic transformation. A transformative event in Saudi Arabia's history occurred in 1938 when oil was discovered in the eastern province. This discovery came as a result of exploration efforts by American companies, leading to a partnership between Saudi Arabia and the U.S. oil company Standard Oil of California, now Chevron. Saudi Aramco, originally a joint American-Saudi venture, was established, eventually becoming one of the largest oil companies in the world. The wealth generated from oil changed Saudi Arabia's economy, transforming it from an agrarian and trade-based society into a global oil powerhouse. Massive revenues from oil exports allowed the kingdom to invest in infrastructure, healthcare, education, and military capabilities. Saudi Arabia also became a key player in the global energy market and a founding member of OPEC, Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, in 1960. Religious significance and political challenges. As the birthplace of Islam and the custodian of its two holiest sites, Mecca and Medina, Saudi Arabia holds a unique position in the Muslim world. The annual Hajj pilgrimage, which draws millions of Muslims from around the world, solidifies the kingdom's religious influence and leadership. However, Saudi Arabia's leadership has faced both internal and external challenges. The country has navigated various regional conflicts, including the Arab-Israeli conflict, the Iran-Iraq war, and tensions with neighboring Iran. Domestically, the Saudi government has dealt with calls for social and political reform, often in response to growing youth populations, economic shifts, and demands for modernization. In recent decades, the Saudi government has launched initiatives like Vision 2030, led by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman MBS, aimed at diversifying the economy, reducing reliance on oil, and modernizing the country. Vision 2030 has also introduced social reforms, including expanding women's rights, opening the country to tourism, and promoting cultural events and entertainment. Modern Saudi Arabia, a nation in transition. Saudi Arabia today is in a period of significant transformation. The government has lifted restrictions on women's rights, such as the right to drive, expanded women's roles in the workforce, and reformed aspects of the legal and social system. Tourism initiatives, including the development of sites like Al Ula and the promotion of leisure events, aim to attract international visitors and diversify the economy beyond oil. The leadership under King Salman bin Abdulaziz and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman has sought to position Saudi Arabia as a regional powerhouse with influence on global issues, from energy markets to diplomacy. While balancing its traditional Islamic values, Saudi Arabia is making strides to modernize and embrace a more open society. However, challenges remain, including international criticism on human rights issues, the need for economic diversification, and regional tensions, particularly with Iran. Saudi Arabia's leadership has continued to emphasize its role in ensuring regional stability and promoting economic reform while managing the expectations of its youthful population and navigating complex geopolitical dynamics. Conclusion. Saudi Arabia's history is one of transformation from a land of nomadic tribes to a unified kingdom with vast global influence. From its origins as the birthplace of Islam and a center of religious pilgrimage to its emergence as an oil-rich nation and a modernizing state, Saudi Arabia's journey reflects both the endurance of tradition and the pressures of change. Today, the kingdom stands at a crossroads, balancing its rich Islamic heritage with aspirations for economic diversity, social reform, and a prominent role on the world stage. As Saudi Arabia continues to evolve, it faces the challenge of redefining itself for a new era while honoring its foundational principles and cultural legacy.